And now, without further ado, this morning you're going to learn about unleashing the power of tech from Tyler Young, CEO of VersiTech, and Anoop Kulshreshtha, who is the Chief Technology Officer and the guy who really knows how to make things work. So please welcome Tyler.
Good morning, everybody. When I grew up in Boring, Oregon, the town was boring, not just Oregon. And I was close to Mount Hood where we could snowboard and ski. So I started at a young age snowboarding and I really enjoyed it. So when I was a teenager, I decided why not make money doing something that I enjoy? So I became a snowboard instructor. And I learned some valuable lessons as an instructor. The first lesson is doing something you love doesn't always pay well. And I knew eventually I'd have to find something that I loved doing that did pay well. And I love solving problems. I don't have to be an expert in how to solve it. Just have to have a vision to do it and build a team that can help me execute. The next thing I learned is it takes a lot of technical details to how to snowboard, how to ride on your toe edge, how to ride on your heel edge. You can read about it, you can talk about it, and I talked a lot about it, and I taught beginners how to snowboard. Well, I learned rather quickly that no matter how much time we spent discussing what to do, that you had to actually just go do it. You had to get on the mountain, and you had to practice, and you tweaked your skill while you were riding. And the third thing that I learned is in every manager review, he said to me, "You talk too much." That is something I'm still working on today. But I did remember the lesson that you just have to put 2 feet forward and you just have to go. And as you go, you learn to adjust. Fortunately, today, you're not going to hear just from me, so I'm not going to do a lot of the talking. But you're going to hear what I have learned in the last few months. You see, we set out on a journey in December to transform our technology department. And we have. We've expanded from 11 to 50 people, but we needed a strong leader because I wasn't the technical expert. So we went and found him. And all of us in this room have either worked for someone, worked with someone, or are the person I'm going to describe, which is the person in the room that exudes confidence and knowledge of what we're doing and how we're going to get there. No matter what problem comes, because they always come, this person is the individual everyone in the room looks to. And often it's probably you saying, how am I going to solve this? Because you don't get the luxury of saying you're stuck. You have to figure out how to move forward. And there's a calming presence that comes with this individual in the room, and it helps everybody, and it's a strong leader. That is who we have found, and that is who I'm about to bring on this stage. He has worked for Fortune 50 to Fortune 500 companies. He's 24 years of experience in technology. He's extremely passionate about it. And when we start discussing it, you could see the confidence and the belief, and you're going to see that from him today. I have learned so much, and they said, with our sponsorship package, you could talk about whatever you want to talk about. And I've been to enough events where I don't take away anything from a speaker. And therefore, we wanted to share with you how we're building a high-performance team, but it's not just us. It's anybody can do it. So please welcome Anoop Kulshreshtha. And it's in his name, but I will tell you, he is pretty cool.
Thank you, Tyler. Good morning, everyone. Today is day 63 for me at VersiTech, and I'm just loving the energy that our team brings to the table, the industry knowledge, and it just the excitement of working at a small startup technology company. So coming from a large organization, it's definitely something different and something very exciting for me. And thank you today for me to talk about high performance team, because this topic usually does not get that much of focus, right? When we think of unicorns, technology startups, technology company, putting out great market value, great products out there. Essentially, what's behind that is a high-performance team. And we don't really talk about that much. We don't really understand what a high-performance team means, right? Why should you care about a high-performance team? Why should you care about a high-performance team? Well, if you value innovation, if you value creativity, you should want a high-performance team. If you are working in a market which is dynamic, where the customer needs are changing, where technology is upending how your customer expects technology to work for them, you want a high-performance team. More importantly, if you want to retain and hire good talent, you want to have a high-performance team because that creates a culture of motivation. So you really need those, a high-performance team if you want to build an organization with that ingredients in your team, right? High-performance team is also not about technology, even though today I'll be talking about high performance in terms of technology teams, because that's my area of expertise. But high-performance team can be in any function. Last week, I was listening to a podcast of John Oliver. He was being interviewed by New York Times. So he is the host of Last Week Tonight. And he was talking about how each week, when he chooses a subject, the amount of research that goes into it and amount of fact-checking and identifying what is a good joke and what's a lame joke and trying to use that to figure out what topic to pick, and how they were struggling to put out a topic each week because of amount of work that's required, and eventually they figured out a way and they were doing it. He did not use the word high-performance team, but really that's what it was, on how their team was very collaborative. The output that they were creating was bigger than the sum of their parts. I would encourage you to listen to that podcast, and it really talks about the process that you use to put out a great product, right? So before I went on this tangent about John Oliver, you must be wondering why I have this space shuttle picture on this, right? So I want to talk about technology debt. Technology debt is really a drag on a high-performance team. And we as technologists always try to minimize that, right? So I want to talk to you about sorry, I'm still learning how to use this clicker. So if the space shuttle, these two things are solid-state boosters. They are designed in such a way that once you fire them, they just go. You cannot control them. So they are designed in a particular way that they provide specific thrust at specific altitude. These are built in Utah, used to be built in Utah, and they used to be put on the rail to Cape Canaveral to be fitted onto a space shuttle. Now, the size of this solid-state booster was designed so that it can fit into the rail car. And then the rail car itself was designed so that it can fit on the rail track. Rail tracks were designed so that to match the design of the roads, which was designed by British engineers who took inspiration from Roman roads. So, and how the Romans designed the roads was to fit, to make sure that the carriage fix or the carts that they had can fit on that. Right. Their carts was as wide as a width of 2 horses so that they can accommodate that. So think about that. The space shuttle solid-state booster was constrained by the design that was conceived 2,400 years ago. That's technology debt for you, right? Technology debt is extremely powerful drag. We should not underestimate it. It usually comes in hidden. In the decisions that we make, in the strategic, tactical decisions that we are making, and that can really hinder the progress and dynamic nature of your organization. So that was just a fun story I wanted to share.
Let's talk about how technical debt has affected our space. If you have resold a product or you build a product, you've experienced technical debt, often in the form of, I would like a feature. Why is it taking so long to get it? It should be here today. It's not that hard. Just push it out. And what a lot of developers or engineers don't speak to is why they're struggling, why it is taking so long, or why it's such a big lift to do what you are asking when it may sound simple. That is all rooted in the technical debt that they have to work through within the entire software to execute. Therefore, taking time to build the right architecture from the beginning makes a difference. That's why we're focused on technical debt. It impacts us all.
Thank you, Tyler. That's been subject of so many of our conversations. So why do you want to do technology modernization? I think that's a question that often comes up. Like, why is technology? It's working fine, right? The fundamentals are working. We are still able to sell it. Why should we invest in technology modernization? Well, for the most innovative organizations, if you want to bring new features to the market faster, there is a lot of technology that goes into it. So if I have worked in retail space for a very long time. There you do A/B testing. You can build new features out. You can see what fits with customer. You can measure the stickiness of those things. All those things require a very flexible technology stack. Amazon puts out feature almost on a daily or a weekly basis, and we don't even notice that. It slowly moves us towards a new user experience rather than putting out a one big user experience in a single go. All those things require very robust technology stack. You want to keep your product flexible with the changing technology landscape. So let's say you are, a ride-sharing company, and you say, I want to build out a business with ride-sharing, and you build the technology. And then one day your marketing person comes and say, hey, airlines are interested in integrating our ride-sharing information into their app so that someone can order the ride-sharing from within United's app. Well, technology, if you're not foresight and you build a monolith technology stack, we'll say, well, that requires us to re-architect the whole thing. I have to redo the whole thing. This is going to cost you 2 years and multi-million-dollar, right? Versus if you have an API technology stack, right? If you have the foresight to build APIs, then I said, sure, now you want to go from current business model to an API-centered business model, fine, we can do that. So having that foresight and building a technology that flexes as your business environment changes is very important, and that's why you need technology modernization. And then you need to deploy AI and database decision support systems. So most of us are e-commerce consumers until I would say 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. Whenever you visit a website, you see those cross-sell information at the bottom. That cross-sell information is heuristics based, right? So it can look at your customer data, you can do all that, right? And there are companies out there who do that. Now, fundamentally, what they're doing is they're changing that cross-sell information to be based upon AI, right? So AI is doing that. So it's a lot more coding, lot less maintenance, but it's really looking at real-time data to do that. Walmart is already doing that. There's a big company out there which does it federates it for third party. They are doing that as well. So you are seeing AI and data decision support systems. You want to do predictive analytics for your customer. So a lot of those things require a good technology stack so that you can change as these new technologies are coming on board. So I really think that investing in technology modernization is not just need of the hour, it is very important for us to stay in business. So when I talk of high performance team, I'm going to provide you a practitioner's perspective on these things. It starts with people, right? You have to invest in people with right skills, right technology mindset, right experience. And you really have to think of structuring, especially the high-performance technology product teams, into these kind of role-based. You need to have product teams who are there to looking at what your feature set is, what your backlogs are, reaching out to crossing different industries, reaching out within their own company, identifying what are the feature set that we should be looking at, prioritizing that, and creating a product roadmap for that. So that's what the product team typically does. You should have technology solution architecture team to really talk think through of how the solution design should be so that it can flex design, and I don't have to build fit for purpose solutions. I can build technology solutions which can be modernized, can be flexed up as the business need changes. I want to talk about DevOps. How do I introduce continuous integration, continuous delivery? That model is important, and that's what you need to have DevOps team. You would want to have quality engineering and quality assurance. So we all have heard about quality assurance, but quality engineering is about how are you doing performance testing? How are you building automation? How are you doing regression testing? A lot of those things require engineers, and you would want to build that. You need project management, Scrum Masters. You need software engineering teams, and you really would want to see how you can federate out the software engineering and create a scalable teams globally. These are the teams that needs to work, and all these teams require effective leaders. There has to be an operational excellence office, which should bring all these teams together so that none of these teams are working in silos. One of the hallmark of high-performance team is they don't work in silos. They are very collaborative in nature. They are talking to each other. They're meeting with each other. At VersiTech, we have these teams meet on a daily basis. For an hour, we just brainstorm the ideas, the action items, the backlogs that we have. And the challenges, the personal challenges, the people challenges, all that is put out on a daily basis, and we discuss that. So Operational Excellence Office really brings all these things together. Operational Excellence Office, which in our company, I'm part of that, along with a couple of other senior leaders. We have regular touch base with executive management and senior leadership to make sure that whatever the business strategy is aligning with what our technology roadmap is, what our technology prioritization is. We have to work with finance team to make sure that our CapEx planning, our OpEx planning is aligned with whatever the technology outcomes that we want to achieve. So creating a reporting structure that works for you, but covers all these roles is of critical importance.
You may be thinking, can I use this structure in a smaller organization? We have 50 people now in the R&D team, and this structure is great for us. So I'm going to ask the question that you may be thinking, Anoop, in an organization with 5 to 10 developers, can they still use a structure like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are roles. These are not FTEs. So if you are a smaller company, you can have a single individual cover multiple roles. So, you can have a project management and a business analysis being part of a single person. You can have a technology solution architecture and software engineering being led by a single individual. So first, it's important to identify the roles and then assign people to it based upon the bandwidth. And as you expand, as you grow, then you can identify if there is a specialized individual required to run that particular function. So from people, I would want to get into the second leg of this stool, this triad, which is processes. So one of the things that we want to do is, so that reporting structure that I talked to you about is really about how people are managed, right? There's their performance, their availability, the bandwidth capacity planning is managed through that. But actual software delivery does not happen in that structure. So what we have created is a Scrum structure. This is really what the cutting edge of software development is these days from organization perspective. We have multiple Scrum teams. Each Scrum team has got dedicated set of resources, which is Scrum Master, technical business analysts, software developers, and functional QA folks. So who come together as a Scrum team. Each Scrum team is provided a specific objective, a certain set of features that they have to develop, a certain set of story points that they have to build out. And all those Scrum teams, and these Scrum teams are running in parallel, are provided certain shared expertise in terms of product leadership, solution architecture, subject matter expert, and UI UX teams. So those are working across all Scrum teams, and the Scrum teams can lean into them for insight and inputs. Once the Scrum team finishes their work, we again provide regression and quality engineering teams who are working on automation, who is working on making sure that whatever software we put out there is thoroughly tested, it's not breaking anything. And we are not doing it just by using people, we are using it by accelerating technology, by deploying significant automation. Once the software goes through regression testing, we release it for our business team to do quality assurance testing. Because we sell it through our partners, we want to bring in our partners for the beta, and they want to look at it, and we want their feedback on that. The important thing about this structure is that Scrum team is not static. Once they have delivered what they were supposed to do, the team disbands. And then we identify new set of features, and then the teams is recreated. So this way, you don't have the same developers always on a single team. They will be working on different teams. And that creates a dynamism where the knowledge is not concentrated into individuals. It's democratized, it's institutionalized rather. So you are not people dependent that way. You're people dependent because you want good people to work for you, but you're not dependent on them for the tribal knowledge. So that's why this structure is very popular with most modern software companies, and it's really working out well for us. So I talked about Scrum teams. Now I want to talk about sprints. So there's teams here. You guys are aware of what a sprint is? Okay. So the way we deploy sprint is just a passage of time. Think about that. So you can typically it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Some teams do it for 1 or 2 weeks, which I think is too small. We are running different scrums in those time period, right? Now, depending upon the complexity a Scrum team is being handed, they may go for 1 sprint, they may go for 2 sprints. But the point is, at the beginning of each sprint, there are measurable goals that are created by the Scrum Master, which says that this team is going to deliver certain deliverables, whether it is actual code, whether it is just a technical design by the end of the sprint. And then there is a measurement of that happens at the end of the sprint. And then from learning from that, what process improvement that we need to do, maybe there are productivity challenges with certain resources that you may have. All those things are analyzed by the Office of Operational Excellence that I was talking about. And then that learning is brought into the new scrums or the new sprints that are starting out, right? So that way you are minimizing the technical debt. You are making sure that you're having a good clarity on resource loading, on how your teams are functioning. You are making sure that everyone has a clear task that they have to deliver, and they are measured on their performance, and there's no one really hiding in that thing. So it's really a very healthy environment which allows your team members to perform at their best.
I'm going to add to this that a lot of software companies fail to deliver on the timeline that is expected. Sprints help us track our predictability on a 3-week basis. How good are we at predicting when this will be accomplished? And that will allow us in the future to be a predictable company on all of our technology. So if we say in 6 months we're going to have this, then our partners will know that we will do that. And so tracking it in 3-week sprints is a constant test to your predictability. And you can apply this across your entire organization, from sales, operations, and let this be a reminder that you have to hold your team accountable to when they say they will accomplish something, because it's as important that they finish it, but it's they finish it in the time they think it would take. Otherwise, what you want to accomplish in a year just keeps turning into a year and a half or 2 years, and then you have a people problem. Sprints are just the beginning of a way to track that.
Thank you, Tyler. The other concept around technology processes, it's actually a little bit technology, but it's still more about process that I want to talk about is release management. Often, when we are planning as a business leaders, as function leaders, we want to put out features. We say, let's do it now. Let's have it now. One thing that we should always follow, and we should ask our technology team to do, is follow a good software release cycle, right? So there should always be a software release in production, and then there should be another release which is in the wings, waiting. So it should all come from the same code base. You do your minor releases, whether it's a hot fixes, whether it's your small quick feature release that you want to do. Some things were not working, some things were broken. You want to do that. Always do it on your production release. That is fine. But as far as your major improvements or major enhancements to your technology is concerned, or your application is concerned, you should always do it in the next major release. And frequently what you need to do is you need to down merge from your production into your non-production environment on a frequent basis. What it does is when you are ready to sunset your current production release and put out the new one, you will always have, because it all came out from the same code base, you'll be able to put it out fairly rapidly. If you did not take it from the same code base, you might have to put in a lot of person hours to make it all work and merge that. And you might find a lot of things are breaking down. The other thing which I would like to mention is that usually what happens is that if we are trying to do a quick feature release in production, we may want to do quick and dirty work sometime. We may want to say, you know what, let's do it this way because a customer is asking for it, a merchant is asking for it, let's put it out there. That is okay, but that is technical debt. So what do? Next time when you're doing a production, you make sure that you're not down merging it as is, but you're doing it the right way in the future production release, so that your technical debt is only alive for a limited time in production, but once the new release comes out, it's all done the right way. I think that's one way I have experienced that you limit the amount of technical debt that happens. Otherwise, what happens is that each release, you will have many things that are done for the sake of expediency, and then it slowly builds up, and then years have passed, and suddenly you have this mountain that you're sitting on, and that's constraining you as a business. So another topic that I want to talk about is prioritization of technology, right? Often there's a lot of team members that I've worked with come from solution side, like, creating custom solution. And from there to building technology products, it's a different mindset, it's a different process, and that is something that usually needs a little bit of training and learning on. We have this tendency of jumping from an idea to a software development in one step. Hey, I have this brilliant idea. Let me find a developer who can write a code for it and do that. What it does is it creates fit-for-purpose solutions, and it really creates technology debt, and it creates it slows you down as a business. So what I'm laying out over here is the process that is required if you want to build technology products out there. So I'll start column by column. So the first column is really you should start. This is specific to VersiTech and how we approach it tonic. You can improvise it based upon how it fits your industry and your business. So we take partner feedback. So we get a lot of feedback from our partners in terms of what's working, what should not work, how it should be done. We take all that feedback. Our product management team takes all that and push it through a kill process. What's the kill process? That you should be trying to kill each feature ask, whether it's from your own team or from partners, on a whiteboard. If you're not able to kill that feature ask over there, you should be deploying capital towards doing a proof of concept, or maybe identify a subject matter expert who can do some market analysis and commit to some ROI on that. And if it passes that, that's only when it should really get into your backlog for prioritization and for more capital for incorporation on your product platform. MVP gap analysis is very important. You should really understand how do you define an MVP for your product. So by the way, MVP is minimum viable product. So if I'm an aircraft, I need rudder, I need 2 jet engines, I need control stick. So you have to define for your business what is the MVP and where you are in that. So a lot of times that is not very clear. So make sure that we have product teams who define that. There has to be clear go-to-market strategy, right? What is your go-to-market strategy? How does it impact your product? How are you selling through partners? Are you directly going to your customers? All those factors have implications on how a technology product is designed. And that's really very important to have for technology teams to have clarity on. And then state of data. My philosophy when I do a product design is really to get more and more share of day in life of our customer. If our customer is spending time on a platform, how much data are we collecting from that? Is that can I collect more data? Is that data being useful for me? Is that data a PCI, a PII concern? How judiciously I should be using that data? Can I use that data? Do I have my customers' approval to use that data? All those are very big questions that we should be answering, and we should be making sure that we have a clear understanding and maximizing the potential of data. So review of a state of data that you are having, you can collect, is of critical importance. So these are really the first set of activities that should be going when it comes to product design. The next set is, once you're armed with this information, we really should be doing a UX road mapping. What does your UX interface for your product looks like? How does a customer interacts with your product? It's not just, and one thing that I would suggest is to do it in a technology agnostic way, because once you bring in the technology constraints in the picture, it always becomes a faster horse. So do it from a perspective of how my customers would want to improve their experience by leveraging your technology and leveraging a platform. So that UX interfacing is very important. Building design systems, which is building those reusable design patterns, components that can be leveraged by your UI teams for building the front-end experience, so that your brand experience is consistent across all the features and functions that you would want to deploy in the future. That is very important. A lot of times, product teams, in absence of that UX guidelines or the design systems, really can build feature set which may not fit well with each other. And that again also becomes a UI challenge. Creating the horizons. So when I've talked about MVP, you cannot just have one horizon. You have to have horizon 1, 2, and 3, what you would want to do. So for example, we can talk about horizon 1 as feature parity, or horizon 2 as, building distributed data decision support systems. Horizon 3 can be building new business models, right? So you have to provide that MVP horizon 1, 2, and 3, and then doing a performance and scalability analysis. So I talked about state of data. Understanding what your application is capable of and it's not capable of is extremely important, because that defines your backlog prioritization. What features you can pick up now, what you have to pick up in the future. You will not be able to solve all your scalability issues in one go. So there has to be a roadmap for that as well, in terms of what you want to invest now based upon what your go-to-market strategies and what can wait for the future. all this is towards, Tyler, what you were saying was predictability. How do I provide a predictability to my business leaders, to my partners in terms of where my software journey will be? These all things feed into that process. And once you have that, then you can really go big into software capital expenditure in terms of creating those Scrum teams, in terms of CI/CD, automation, solution design. All those things that I talked about in the previous design really can be invested in once you have done this upfront ground game. And it should result in good and predictable outcomes for you.
So far, who has found this an entertaining subject to talk about? Right? A few hands are there. You know, what's exciting to talk about is the vision, what you want to create, what product or solution you want to bring to market. It's the hard part to create it. And it's finding the right people who find this exciting. So if you don't in your team, maybe that's why you don't have a software. And if you do, maybe you want to build a software, or maybe you just have an idea and you know you need to find a cool guy like this who enjoys this. But what he's showing you here is that unlike snowboarding, which you just got to get out on the snow and do, and you can get advice and tweak it, when it comes to development, especially in our space, the Silicon Valley guys have found it. They found hospitality, they found retail, and they are investing the way they built Google into their products and solutions. So it's no longer a game where someone can just say, I love restaurants and I'm going to build a system like Future, Focus, Versi back in the day. Those were guys that were just capable and enjoyed it. Companies now are taking a very strategic approach. They are using Agile, they're using high performance teams, they are having a very strong QA, a solution architect. I have learned about so many seats that don't actually result in building the product. That's not fun to pay for, to be honest, but it's necessary today if we're going to be predictable and we're going to keep up with the market. So what I hope you take away from just seeing this here is that you got to think outside of the box. You got to look at what your competition is doing and make sure that you are trying new things too, even if it's boring.
Well,
no offense, Anoop.
Thank you, Tyler, because you summarized the next slide for me pretty well. So I appreciate that. So really, when it comes to high performance team, and I want to summarize the three parts of the process itself, which is moving to an agile software development where you're not having your teams in silos, where developers don't talk to product people don't talk to QA people. You have to work as collaborative teams. You have to build those collaborative culture. We have to have a customer-centric product map. I mean, Amazon calls this customer obsessed. I'm not a big fan of that word, but if you want to create a customer-centric product map, you have to be deliberate about it. You really have to take in the feedback. You have to build that kill board that I was talking about. You have to have a clarity of what an MVP for my business means. And then you have to streamline your release funnel in terms of what feature goes into what release, because if everything has to go in now, then nothing goes in now, or it goes in in a bad shape that will hurt you in the future. So I think having those process streamline is going to add like significant productivity to your teams, and you will see the output from your software teams jump in the future. So the next thing, with the last area, the last leg of this triad for me is technology. So we talked about people, we talked about processes, but I want to talk to you about technology. Technology as an accelerator, right? We are not just building technology, but we should be leveraging technology for accelerators. So some of the examples are, for example, using automation, right? So if you are trying to do a frequent code release, if you're trying to release feature every week or every 2 weeks, you would need to test it. Now, if you want to use person hours to test it, that's a lot of person hours, and that's impossible with a big platform, right? So trying to accelerate that release cycle by leveraging automation regression testing is one of the technology accelerators. Then leveraging platform-generated data, right? Are you looking at data to understand the stickiness of the features that you are putting out? How do you know that the amount of capital that's getting invested in building out the features is beneficial, it's helping a business? So measuring that data and leveraging that to really inform what your future steps should be is of critical importance. The other area which I would think is looking at data for understanding your application logs and looking at machine learning. A lot of those new technologies are coming out which were not in which was only available to top niche companies and with high investment, but those capabilities are available now. So trying to understand how you can look at data to better run your business, better understand, better measure, and also maybe help our customers run their business better. The other area is leveraging cloud-based architecture. So, a lot of systems were on-prem for a long time, for a majority of my career, but cloud in last 8 years, 9 years have really taken off. So understanding how you can build distributed applications in the cloud, how you can use things like edge computing and cloud-based caching to improve the performance of your application is also going to be helpful. But cloud comes with its own security risk, right? So once you start thinking about cloud, now you have to think about DDoS attack, phishing attack. How do you make sure that you're building applications which are secure both from application perspective and data perspective, right? So building that, using Gen AI to monitor the logs, using synthetic data creation technologies to build or to federate out data to your non-production systems which are not PCI, PII compliant. Those areas will be important too. So cloud obviously comes with some of those considerations that you may have to consider, which you otherwise would not have if you had a insulated on-prem system. So in the end, what I would like to summarize it by saying is that high-performance team is about people, processes, and technology. We have heard the paradigms in the past of a triple constraint: people, cost, and time. I think now we have to think about people not just in terms of bandwidth, but in terms of the skill that they bring, the intellectual property that they bring, and really start thinking in terms of how can I invest in technology so that I can maximize the time, and how can I invest in processes upfront so that my cost downstream goes down and it becomes more predictable in terms of what I'm trying to put out there. So I think that's where the paradigm change is happening from that age-old triple constraint to a high-performance team structure. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anoop.
How many people are new to the RTSS format? A lot of new hands. All right, I'm going to remind you that you came to an event where you signed up to sit in a boardroom and listen to presenters, whether you want to hear about it or not. And we kicked that off today with something I hope you learned from. And I hope you understand, because you resell products or you build it yourself, that there's a lot of work that goes into creating the product. And it's a lot of effort. And some organizations do it fast, some do it slow, some do it out of passion, some do it out of passion for building technology. There are other principles you could take away from the Agile approach. For example, one that really struck with me was, even at 140 people, we're small. I don't feel small. I feel like it's a whole lot of new learning, a whole lot of challenges. But Anoop shows up and constantly says, you're small. He did it right in the beginning. It was like this small team here. And what he reminded me is, you were building your organization, you're building your structure, you're giving roles and responsibilities to everybody, and they take it serious and they want to do that job well. But maybe they're really good at something else. Agile says, we're going to build a group of people who have the right expertise to achieve this objective. Subject matter experts. In Agile, you can grab an SME from anywhere. Our partners are SMEs. We can have someone from frontline support who really understands the solution of what we're trying to create, and they can join the team to be an SME. So I would remind you, as you look at your own structure, and we are taught in business to give roles and responsibilities and department heads and managers, that just because somebody reports to this individual as a manager doesn't mean they can't use their bandwidth over here. And that's what really I get at the core of a high performance team, is utilizing the right individuals inside of your structure. And sometimes it's even going outside of your organization. And when you work with channel partners like we do, we have a lot of people with opinions that are subject matter experts about how things should be done. So we kicked off today. You guys have 4 boardrooms this morning. We want to thank you for sitting and listening to this. Anoop is here all day. So if you have questions about technology itself, I encourage you to come speak with him. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everybody.